to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another live edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people. Peace, reciprocity, positivity, and upliftment. So, I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. How's everybody doing this evening or late afternoon, wherever you're at in the world? Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. So, yesterday was Hump Day, which means the weekend's right around the corner. We made it over the hump. So, hope you got everything you needed to do this weekend done. If not, it's still a couple more days to get everything right. And if somehow you don't, well, it's always next week. But we're in mid-October already, so this year is pretty much done with, a wrap. We'll be looking at 24 winking at us. So anyway, now that I got all the, formalities out the way and pleasantries, allow me to take this moment to bring, everybody that's unfamiliar with Halsey Allen or the Narrative Podcast up to speed on my platform and, what it is I do here, my narrators, my regular listeners, my target audience. They already know the demonstration. They already know my platform, what it's about, what they'll be listening to this evening. But for those that don't, allow me to give you a brief overview to bring you up to speed before diving into the content this evening on the Narrative Podcast. So first, let us start at the top tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the way my people and my culture is being portrayed by the media. So what I want to do is I want to design a platform to remedy that. And so that's exactly what I did. On this platform, basically, my goal is to uplift and edify my people. Because, like I said, the media vilifies us and they project this false narrative about original people and original culture. So, that's my mission statement, is to portray us in the most positive light as possible at all times, and uplift and edify my people and bring awareness and, attempt to try to unify us in solidarity with this movement via my platform, the Narrative Podcast. So, that's pretty much essentially what I do in a nutshell. So matter of fact, I think that was a perfect segue for my tagline for my podcast, the Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And that's precisely what I'm about to do here in a couple of minutes. But I want to just still kind of walk you through the format. So this is a live edition of the Narrative Podcast. On my live editions, they're basically super random. I broadcast full episodes every weekend, but the live episodes is just like super random during the weekday whenever I have time to broadcast. But I pretty much got the weekend locked in for my full broadcast. And on my live broadcast, what I do, the positive frames of reference that I provide you about original people and original culture come to me via news articles. And the reason why I share the positive news articles is, like I said, the media constantly bombards us with negativity about our people and our culture. So what I want to do is provide some positive frames of reference. And so, that's what I'm going to be doing this evening, followed up by some commentary on current events around the world or within our community. I call that my speaking point of the day. And I got a couple of topics this evening I want to touch on. But before all that, I'm going to just brief you about a couple more misnomers about the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. So I think I already discussed why I'm doing it. So the Narrative Podcast is basically a positive space. I don't really do any negative, dabble in anything negative. I try to stay away from gossip. I feel it has no place. I'm not a fan of gossip. I don't encourage it. I don't endorse it, and I try not to circulate it on my podcast. So, just bear in mind anytime that I bring up a famous person's name, it's never from a place of negativity or judgment or, bashing them in any way. But what I do, now if a famous person is, irresponsibly using their platform in a way that affects all of our people in a negative way, I will say something about it. But like I said, I don't name call. I don't drag people through the mud. I don't encourage or endorse that. This space is basically about uplifting and edifying our people because we get enough negativity from the media. The media basically, they go out of their way to intentionally misrepresent our people and our culture. The media, they're really divisive, wicked, and they have an agenda behind it. The main objective is to do that to acquire money, finances, of course, but, the second part of it is to, desensitize our people and then also program the minds of people outside of our culture about how they engage us and how they perceive our people and our culture. So it's like, basically like psychological warfare. It's a whole lot of mind manipulation. Because, the media is intertwined with the powers that be. So the powers that be, they want to, remain at the top of the food chain by painting themselves to be, perfect and superior. And they want to make themselves look better than everybody. They do that to all cultures, but out of all the cultures they do it to ours the most, because ours is the ones they fear the most, because they know their history and they know our history. And their greatest fear is that we would, as a people, stop fighting amongst ourselves, start unifying and mobilizing, and, do to them what they're currently doing and have done to our people since the beginning of time. But that will never happen because, our people, we're kind, loving, intelligent people. And, we don't have a history of rape. We don't have a history of forcing our beliefs and value systems on, other cultures. We don't have a history of stealing things and claiming them as our own. We don't have a history of rewriting history. For that matter, we really don't have an accurate history of recording history, which is why, our culture has been so misappropriated over the years. But I digress. So like I said, the Narrator podcast is basically to uplift and edify our people. My main thing I want listeners to get from my platform, if nothing else, is to, bring awareness to people of how important it is to share positivity when it comes to our people and our culture. And what do I mean by our culture? Original people culture. I'll get to the original part in a second. Because like I said, the media is evil, wicked, and diabolical, but it's also a business. And the first rule of business is supply and demand. And see, the way they do business is to, this justifies their propaganda that they spin about our people. They do statistical research because we're living in the digital era now. So this is how they, build these Fortune 500 companies. They do their statistical research, and basically they base it on what people are posting, what people are clicking on, what sites they're visiting, and they calculate all that into their analysis on what type of content to create to facilitate the inherent need for said content. So basically, that explains all these crappy television shows, movies, literature depicting our people in a negative light, because they think that's what we want to see. They think that that's how we want to be portrayed because of, what we're posting online, what we're clicking on, what sites we're visiting. So as an end result, they produce all these negative movies, television shows, and, commercial advertisements that, depict our people and our culture in a negative light. So as a matter of fact, that's primarily why I call my target listening audience my narrators. Because like I said, we're living in the digital era now. So people perceive you and associate you with the content that you post online. So just imagine how we look to people outside of our culture if we're, embracing gang culture, drug culture, gun culture, penitentiary culture, did I already say drug culture, violence culture, toxicity and degeneracy. If we keep on recycling that by posting it online, that's what people will associate our people and our culture with. So, like I said, but we're in a unique position to, have dominion over what we post online. So we can tell or narrate our own stories online simply by posting content. Now, that's not the end-all, be-all, definitive answer to it, but it is an answer. So we need to watch what we're posting online and try to keep it as positive as possible, like I do here on the Narrative podcast. That's what I'm trying to impress upon all my listeners and encourage my listeners to do what I'm doing. Like, you can do whatever you want to on your social media platform, on your digital platform, but know that's the consequence behind it. of how our people is being perceived and portrayed. So, I post stories, I tell stories of leadership, excellence, entrepreneurship, community, effective problem solving, family structure, basically the antithesis of what the media portrays about our people and our culture. I do right here on the Narrator podcast and encourage all my listeners to do the same for that very reason. Next, I refer to our people as original people versus black. It's not because I'm ashamed of being black. It's just because I feel black is not an accurate description of our people. Matter of fact, I know it's not an accurate description of our people. I feel the word original better describes our people because we were originally on this planet before every other culture was here first, and we can all trace our lineage back to one original point where civilization began. We can all trace our lineage back there. No matter what landmass you hail from, no matter what language you speak, no matter what your, religious, spiritual, philosophical, or ideology. I always struggle with that word. I don't know why I keep trying to say it. Ideological views, intel. You're still an original man and an original woman if you possess, carbon, aka melanin. We can all trace our lineage back to the origin point of humanity or mankind. We was first. We originated pretty much everything. And that's why I refer to our people as original people versus black. If you want to refer to yourself as black, you can. I'm not trying to tell you what you can and cannot do. I'm just saying on my platform, I refer to our people as original people. Because contrary to all unpopular belief, we were originally on every single corner of the globe, and we didn't get there via slave ships. Not all of us. Some of us did. Chattel slavery was a real thing. Slavery did happen. So we were enslaved, but, we didn't all get to wherever we're at, via slave ship, especially here in the Americas. The majority of us was already here. The majority of us, outweighs the people that came over on slave boats. But anyway, I digress. That's why I refer to our people as original people versus black. Also, it unifies us as a people because, like I said, there's so much diversity amongst us, so many things that divide us as a people. We have that one qualifying factor, that one common denominator that binds us together. Lastly, before diving into the content, this is a time-sensitive platform. So I basically try to keep everything brief and to the point. When I started podcasting originally, I had no clue on what I wanted to talk about, what type of subject matter that I wanted to touch on. So I had to take some time to evaluate and assess what I want to do with this media space that I'm occupying. And I was like, we just get, raked over the coals and taking it from, every which way. We take on fire from all sides. It's like we don't have any allies. You know, we never get told nothing positive. You know, I want to be the voice to uplift our people. So what's the most effective way to do that, to engage my people and keep them captive in a good way, to captivate their attention by basically just, you know, getting to the point, saying what you got to say, meaning what you say, and, you know, not overcomplicating the subject matter. And so that's what I decided to do. The best way to do it, I thought to myself, was just basically set up a time limit, try not to exceed 1 hour, and for that, it's been working pretty good. So I never, you know, no matter how dynamic of a speaker you are, what an extraordinary life that you've lived, nobody wants to sit up there and listen to somebody just drone on for over an hour. So, you know, that's what I try to do here on my platform, is just make it straightforward and plain and digestible as possible. And, you know, my content, because of that, is really cohesive and digestible. I can appeal to everybody on no matter what type of intellectual plane they're on, you know, from the most highly intelligent to the most basic thinker. You know, they can get something out of the Narrator podcast. And so basically that's my goal, not to, you know, shoot over nobody's head and also not dumb myself down. So I'm like right there in the middle pocket. If I had to describe, you know, my podcast, I would say I'm like the drive time DJ of the conscious, you know, movement. And consciousness just, you know, by the way, just means awareness. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm bringing awareness, you know, that we're being programmed, and, you know, bringing awareness that positive things do happen within our community and our culture, because we're being programmed to believe it doesn't. You know, the powers that be are trying to desensitize us to violence, desensitize us to degeneracy and toxicity and dysfunction. So I'm just the friendly reminder voice that, hey, good things happen to our people. You know, we do good things, and, you know, we breathe goodness everywhere we go, because we are a good, virtuous, righteous people. So now that you got the gist of the Narrator podcast, without any further ado, diving in to the live edition this Thursday on the Narrator podcast. So here we go. My first frame of reference. And then I think I did forget to, you know, point out one thing. This platform isn't about caring or wanting acceptance from people outside of our culture. This is basically setting the record straight. Like, if you're going to tell our story, you're going to tell it correctly. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this. If you don't tell your own story, your story will be told for you. And so that's what, you know, the Narrator podcast is also about, is telling our story accurately. Telling our story from the perspective of we're kings and queens, we're gods and goddesses of the universe. And everybody should marvel and bear witness to our magnificence. Not saying we're superior to anybody, just saying we're not the piece of trash, the degenerate scum that the media portrays us to be. So now, without any further ado, diving into the content on the Narrator podcast live edition this Thursday. Up first, My first article I want to share this evening, the headline reads, 16-year-old genius headed to college chooses HBCU over Yale and Harvard. And the young man's name is Curtis Lawrence. He's a 16-year-old DC native. He's already been accepted to over 14 colleges, including Yale and Harvard. He has received $1.6 million in grants. So he started taking college level classes through a special program at George Washington High School. But his grades has always been up to par. He's been his grades have been above average since the age of 7 years old. He's been quoted as saying for his choices over the good Lord, the internet. So I hope we ain't breaking up in sections, because it dropped. Check 1, check 2. Yeah, I'm still here. I hate when I have to share it back after my broadcast. But anyway, he's been quoted to saying, what was I saying? His process, his train of thought behind selecting the HBCU over Ivy League colleges. He said, at first, during the selection process, he was just looking for schools specializing in with a good biology program, and then he decided on HBCU because he wanted to experience to have the HBCU experience. Feel what that's like going to an HBCU, and then also because he wanted to be around people that looked like him, which makes sense. So he's already thinking that logical, and he's not even 21 yet. So no shade to anybody who has attended an Ivy League college, has attended and graduated, with honors from an Ivy League, college. But I think I've said it time and time again, it doesn't really matter where you go to college, as long as you apply the knowledge. But Ivy League colleges aren't superior to HBCUs. It's just like really just name recognition. This country is founded on traditions, just things that we accumulate over time, things that people tell us we have to do in order to, be at a certain level in life. But there are example upon example of, super wealthy people, super intelligent people that never even went to college. They never, barely even got out of high school. But I digress about that. Like, it's all about what you do with the knowledge, not about where you go to acquire the knowledge. But that's a good feat for that young man at that young of an age. What else? I got any notes. So he finally decided to attend FAMU, Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University. And so that is a good program there, and we wish that young brother well in all his scholastic endeavors. We know he's going to do his family and his community proud. He's already doing us proud, just, have graduated at that early of an age and wanting to be around his own people. So, join me into giving young Curtis Lawrence of DC a warm narrative podcast round of applause for his scholastic excellence. All right, next. Headline reads, Black couple married for 84 years, believed to be longest married couple in Arkansas. Is it Arkansas or Arkansas? Is it the same? I always say Arkansas. Is it Arkansas? Let me punch it up right quick. I'm just curious. It don't got nothing to do with nothing, but I don't know. Maybe it's a tomato thing. Anyway, I'll look at it later on my own time. So the couple's name, the man, is Cleophas, and the sister's name is Arwilda, Arwilda, Arwilda. So I don't know, what she says to make it short, but basically they got married in 1939. Cleophas is 102, and Arwilda is 98 years young. So, that's often like anybody that believes in the monogamous sanctuary of marriage. Everyone, that comes into that philosophy of we going for better or worse, richer and poor, and, basically we're going to die together. They in it for the long haul. I'm pretty sure they saw their ups and their downs. Rich history, their names kind of says it all. Because do you know anybody these days named Cleophas? I ain't making fun. I'm just saying, that's a down home name. Just by listening, I can just hear the history. I just know my instincts is telling me that they are both Kojic members, Church in God in Christ. If you didn't know, in our community we say Church in God in Christ, but I believe the denomination is called Pentecostal. But I just, that rich history. And it's all that's, so heartwarming to hear that they stayed together and living in these times of debauchery and, satisfaction. That true love can exist. It is possible. They did it. It was a different time back then, but, you could if you want to. So let's join me into giving our brother and our sister a warm narrative podcast round of applause for their long, beautiful, fruitful marriage. All right, next up on the Narrator podcast, live edition, the headline reads, Single mom becomes first black woman in New York to own, a spring water bottling plant. And the sister's name is Paula McCarthy. She made history as the first black woman to own and operate that type of business in the state of New York. She officially acquired the plant in 2020 and also an aquifer. I don't know what an aquifer is. You're going to have to do your Googles. I didn't do mine in my notes. Within 15 acres of land from an elderly couple. She now operates the space under her nonprofit organization, Youth Saving Society, or WSS for short. Free game. So when you are aspiring entrepreneurs out there, when you start your own business, make sure to also start a nonprofit organization, because your nonprofit organization can, propel your business, meaning you can take your profits and donate it to your nonprofit organization, and then you will get certain tax exemptions and write-offs because of it. And so essentially you will get to keep your money and Uncle Sam won't take it because, you're paying into your nonprofit organization. So I'm not saying try to, do a fraud move. Like, just only do it if you actually believe in something. Like if you actually have a cause, you're actually trying to, help the community, a cause you actually believe in. But it would behoove you to have your own nonprofit organization. Because, that's our kind of dreams. We want to just own our own business and be on our own time. But that's a perk of having, giving back. But anyway, so that's essentially what the sister did. She is pretty much a social media influencer. She's involved. She wears many hats. She got her own academy now. I tried to punch up the water factory, but it says the message. They're still doing water. They're still selling the bottled water, but when you try to go to the website, it says like not in service or whatever. So to find out more about the bottled water, you have to follow her on Facebook. Just type in the name of the water company, which is, I forgot to write that in my notes. Let's punch it up right quick. I'm live, people. It happens. Let's punch it up, punch it up, punch it up, punch it up, punch it up. It's called Yes Water, or WSS Water. Yeah. WSS Water Works is the name of her bottled water brand. And again, it's under her, nonprofit organization, but when you try to, go online and type that brand in on their website, it says, the website is expired. So you would have to follow her on Instagram for updates about the bottled water company. Also on Facebook too. They have a YSS Water page on Facebook as well. Or you can follow her on Instagram at Paula McCarthy, and she has all her endeavors. She's also got a academy. She also has her own school in addition to the nonprofit organization. So definitely support that sister, Paula McCarthy, and the YSS Waterworks water bottle brand. It's all natural sourced water, spring water, no contaminants, no impurities, just water. So go support that. Let's join me in a Warm Narrative podcast round of applause for our sister Paula McCarthy and her nonprofit organization and her, her waterworks, her water bottle endeavor. All right, we get into the nitty gritty now, you guys. See how many more articles I got. I think this is my last one, actually. I think I have either one. Maybe I forgot that. Okay, I always do that. All right, so next article reads, headline reads, Black financial consultant seeks to empower African Americans, and y'all, so little misnomer, another misnomer. I'm not going to, if it literally says Black or African American in the headline, I'm not going to sub out that and say original people. I try to refer to our people as original people as possible, but like if I'm doing it tonight, sharing articles, and it says Black or African American, I'm going to say it as it says it in the article. But sidebar, I'm not a fan of African American at all. I've never been in favor of being referred to as African American because, like, it's just like a double negative. But anyway, the headline reads, Black financial consultant seeks to empower African Americans to reclaim lost land through estate crowdfunding. And the brother's name is Kelvin Harris. Kelvin's a visionary on a quest to reverse the loss of land and property by Black people over the centuries. He's a financial consultant, a real estate investor, and an author. He's written a book. He's planning on doing all this through the power of crowdfunding. And his current project he has is the Forbes Farmhouse Project. Forbes Farmhouse Project is a transformative real estate project dedicated to serving cultural heritage, empowering communities, and creating wealth for investors. Basically, what his program is like it's like acorns for real estate people. So like if you don't know the first thing about flipping houses, this is like a good way to get your feet wet. They provide all the material for you, all the literature, all the knowledge. You won't actually have to be physically involved with anything going on within the process of purchasing a property. Like, because if you know anything about real estate, you have to go out and see the property. You have to buy all the supplies to refurbish it. If it's any type of facility maintenance that needs to be done, like landscaping, like, cutting grass, refurbishing, the property anyway, you have to, that would have to come all out of your pocket. With his program, you go online and they got packages, properties, which you want to start out with, set at a set price, and you just buy that property, and that's it. From my understanding, or from what I read on the website, is you just, you pick what property you want, and then they'll do the rest. If you want to be a, investor. They also got a section for if you want to donate, you just want to be a part of the movement. They got a section for that too. I would say make sure if you're an investor, make sure get it the crystal clear understanding you're investing, you're not donating. For more information about that, you can go to Forbes Farmhouse Crowdfunding, or go to Kelvin directly at kelvin.harris@kelvinconsulting.com, or call him at 704-562-0019, and then general inquiries. More information can be supplied at info@secureliving.com, or secure is spelled really weird, so I'm going to spell it Secure Living, LIVINGREI.com. So yeah, go hit it up if you're interested in the real estate business. If you're trying to, dive into the real estate business, that's a perfect medium to try for your first time ever. I imagine nothing ventured, nothing gained. So like, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, because you can lose money doing it yourself. So like, But anyway, join me into giving our brother Kelvin Harris a warm narrative round of applause for the, lost my page again. Forbes Farmhouse Project. All right, I think I got one more section. All right, the last article of the evening. Headline reads, High Performance Coach launches Sacred Journal empowering Black men against loneliness, stress, anxiety, and depression. And the brother's name, he's Nigerian, so probably not going to get his name right, but Bertan Najampi, BertandNgampai. And his journal is called The 1% Man, The Ascension Journal. The Ascension Journal is a tool for growth and accountability. It's a comprehensive roadmap designed to uplift and empower men's sometimes I can't read my own handwriting. To empower men. The special emphasis is on Black men, so us especially, or all men really, could benefit for it, but the focal point of the journal is on Black men. Focuses on accountability, in the belief that every man deserves the chance to thrive. Other things it focuses on are mental health, fitness, nutrition, and you can also chart your progress. You can also upgrade your, they got like packages with the journal, so you can upgrade your packages. They have tactical fitness taught by an actual Navy SEAL. They also teach holistic healing and medicine. So it's like a complete package, a complete self-care package for a man, and that's precisely what I feel we don't have enough of, especially within our culture, because like it's not easy being a man. Like we gotta bottle everything up, carry everything on our shoulders. We're not ever allowed to show vulnerability, weaknesses, or acknowledge that we're going through something as a man. So this is ideal for us. This is self-care that all of us need as men, especially us as brothers. We need it because we got to be especially strong. But it's worth checking out. It focuses basically on, mental health, self-care, and positive self-image. So let's give it up for our brother. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name again. In his program, The 1% Man, The Ascension Journal. All right, so that's it and that's all. And now we're going to dive into the nitty gritty. My speaking points of the day, which is basically like a breakdown of things, current breaking news, whether it's all over the world or just specifically within our community. And the reason, like I said, because the media, when they get wind of stories about us, they try to portray us in the most negative light possible. Or, if it's something globally happening around the globe when we need to pay attention to it, I'm unpacking it from our perspective, what it means for us as a people and why we need to pay attention to it. But basically, it's just like whatever's going on in the world through our lens, from our perspective. So I got some key points that I want to touch on tonight. So if you didn't know, there's so much, and this is kind of something I hate about our community, is we focus on the wrong things because we already know one big thing is trending in the media and all our attention is focused there and not on other things, important things. I'm not saying that what this person is going through isn't important, but it's overtaking social media and we're not hearing about poignant things we need to be paying attention to. And so if you didn't know, you just an elephant in the room, Miss Jada Pinkett Smith, and what's going on in her life. We so busy focused on that, we're missing like really important stuff. Because I bet you never heard these two things I'm fitting to share tonight. You haven't heard about it, or if you did, it was like a brief snippet. But I will be addressing that too. And like I said, when I address, what's going on with her, it's not from a place of condemnation or scrutiny. It's from a place of just assessment. Assessment and, how it relates to all of us. And, it's not to scrutinize or bash or none of that. Or really even weighing in on it, because like I said, I don't do gossip, so I'm not weighing in on it from a gossip perspective. I'm weighing in on it from a tribe perspective. But anyway, first thing I want to talk about this evening is what happened in New Jersey. So if you didn't know, a group of bikers attacked this sister out in New Jersey. She was minding her own business. I know everybody says it, but she was legit. Minding her own business, not saying nothing to these people. The sister's name is Vicky Bullock. And, one of these rowdy motorcycle dudes, they just happened to be Caucasian, bashed in her window. She had her children with her. One of them brandished a firearm and threatened to kill her. Threatened to blow her brains out. And since then, the dude has been caught, and his name is Cody M. Heron. And the judge doubled his bail, which is monumental, because originally it was 2.5 and got raised to 4 million. So, first of all, the justice system is not designed to accommodate us, let alone protect us. So it's, it's real rare that we ever get any type of justice. Because we already know, had the situation been reversed, it took law enforcement in that area a week to capture this dude, to arrest this dude, and they got it through like anonymous tips through the neighborhood. So call it snitching if you wanted to, but this saved the sister's life. She's been quoted, to paraphrase a quote that she was quoted by the media, said it could have been worse. You could have been hearing about my death because they was meaning to shoot and kill me. He was trying to shoot and kill me, so you could have been tuning in to another shooting death. But they did catch the dirtbag through the anonymous tips of the community. The community pretty much tracked them down and did the police job for them. And so, like I said, what I was getting at before I veered off pudding is we already know what the outcome would have been if the circumstances was reversed. Had she brandished a firearm on him, had a a gang of bikers encircled a white person's motor vehicle and bashed in their windshield and pulled a gun on them, the police would have been there in 0.5 seconds and every single last one involved would have been dead. None of them would have made it to the police station. And we know this. Let me change my vocabulary, unalived, because I don't know, with this media platform, the full extent. But yeah, the police would have unalived the brothers if it had been, the situation would have been reversed. But thank goodness he's in custody. He's awaiting trial. So let's cross our fingers and hope this dirtbag gets the jail dropped on top of him. Like, what? You out of your rabbit ass mind with her children in the back seat, you filthy beast. And when I say filthy beast, it's not a color thing. I say that to anybody engaging in degenerate behavior like that. He just happens to be Caucasian. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the shooting death of Leonard Allen. I think it's like I don't think that's his last name. I think that's his middle name, Leonard Allen. Let me punch it up right quick. Come on, it's frozen. I found it, but it want to freeze up and don't want to load up. Why is it acting goofy? Come on. Man, this one don't work. This link don't work. Leonard Allen Cure, excuse me. His last name is Cure. He died at 53. This happened in Camden County, Georgia. And basically, the brother had a tragic life, man. He spent 16 years incarcerated in the Florida penitentiary for a crime that he didn't even commit. So upon release from prison, he goes to Georgia. He's fully exonerated from his crimes in Florida, his wrongful crimes that he got convicted from in Florida, to basically, get a fresh start. His plan was to, enroll in college and take something. There's nothing that I come across to say what he was going to take in college, but he was wanting to change his life around. So after doing 16 years in the penitentiary, he wanted to get out and learn some more stuff, get some more knowledge. After pretty much reading every book in the penitentiary, because, that's one thing us brothers do with that time when we get incarcerated. We do a lot of reading. But anyway, the police stopped him said he was speeding, gets out the car, asks what he's being stopped for. Then the police tased him, and like it's on the body cam. He asks why is he being tased, and then they pumped 2 rounds in him. Dead. So he's already disoriented from being tased, and then he gets shot. So after you're tased, you're no longer a threat. I don't know if you've ever been tased. I haven't, but like, it doesn't even look good. You're disoriented, you're you're discombobulated. Unless you're a crackhead. I've seen footage of like crackheads take out the little spikes and run. But he's tased. So, he's like on the ground twitching because he got shot. And then they just, out of nowhere, pump 2 in him. And he's like no longer here now. They sit up there and unalived a brother over nothing. Unalived a brother over nothing. Supposed to be a routine traffic stop. Like, what the hell? What is going through these filthy beast minds? Like, there's no defense for this. Because you've already incapacitated him with the taser shock. He's shocked. He ain't going nowhere. He's in shock. He's on the floor twitching. Why shoot him too? Like, you can't even like blame poorly trained on this scenario. He had it in his mind that he wanted to kill somebody. You can't even bring the argument that he wasn't trained properly. You had training, you tase somebody, like, it's a wrap. When they're on the ground, they're twitching, they're not running. At that point, you handcuff them. Now, if he's still like, giving you some resistance after you tased him, you got pepper spray. You got a baton. You got a graphite staff. You shoot him, bro? That's sad. That's sad. Well, anyway, Ben Crump will be, on the defense team or the prosecuting team. So we know how that's going to turn out. So if they get awarded anything, it'll probably be a 4.1 or a 3.1 million, which isn't nearly enough because, like, he's unalive. He took the life of a guy on his way up. Like, he was already wrongfully, he had like 16 years of his life that he couldn't get back. And then you end the rest of it. He's 53. Like, really, it ain't no like monetary amount you could possibly give his family for all that. They got the loved one snatched away from him for 16 years for something he didn't even do. And then you just, like, my God. But we so busy focused on Miss Jada Pinkett Smith. I bet nobody heard about that. That ain't been going viral. All right, next thing I want to talk about is our brother Waka Flocka is coming into fire for endorsing Donald Trump via Twitter or social media. I think it was Twitter. Let me check. Yeah, it was on Twitter. Or X as it's called now. Might as well just keep on saying Twitter because nobody's going to say X. So what does tweet say? So it was just, he put on Twitter, he just put Trump 2024. That's it, on his timeline. Then he changed his profile image of him standing with Trump. So like it was a big change because he said F Donald Trump in 2015. Couple things. I'ma just say this. It doesn't to me sound like an endorsement. That doesn't sound like he's endorsing Donald Trump. It sounds more like predicting. To me, that sounds like more like predicting rather than endorsing. Predicting and endorsing is two different things. If you're going to predict you're going to be the president, then, let's look at our choices. We got Biden, we got Trump. And we already know them folks that was mad, what they did with them Capitol Hill riots. They showed up and showed out when, Trump didn't win. So it's just common sense. Like, what do you think? All them people that was outraged, they got the chance to vote for Trump all over again, and they won't. It's common sense to know what's fitting to happen. But here's the thing, though. For our people and just people in general, like we blame the President of the United States for everything. And if you paid attention in government class, he's only over the executive branch of government. He's the commander-in-chief of the executive branch, which has limited powers. All the power comes from the Senate and Capitol Hill. The president is just commander-in-chief. All they can do is, veto a law, get a law, sign a law to be passed, or veto one. Represent us to, as foreign diplomats. And, they can do a filibuster and, sign executive orders for something. They can be the commander-in-chief in times of war. They can push the button if it goes there, but all the stuff we complain about the presidents, all the presidents effing this country up and, that stupid whoever's in office when we don't get our way. And that's all people. We all do it as Americans. Blame the president for everything and they legit got a limited thing they can do. So they can make treaties, they can veto a bill, represent our nation with talks of foreign countries, enforce laws that Congress passes, act as commander-in-chief in times of war, and call our troops to protect our nation against attack. So they can send our troops out, and they can have the power to bring our troops back. They can reverse, they can pardon people. They have the power to pardon prison sentences. But they got limited things they can do. Act as commander-in-chief. They have executive powers, power of legislation, powers to appoint executive clemency, foreign affairs, emergency powers, executive privilege. But they can't, they don't control taxes, the tax laws, with the powers that be come up saying we have to pay stuff. That's not the president's thing. And I'm not making excuses for Donald Trump or any other president that we had that was a crappy president. I'm just saying, we be getting tight over nothing, because it legit says in the Declaration of the Constitution, what does it say? It says, who by the people? Does it say by the president by the people? Does it say the constituents of the people? It says, we, the people. We, as a people, have the power to run this country if we unite it as a people, but we can't unite as a people because we don't want to acknowledge the liberty and justice for all. We can't get over that hump, especially when it comes to our people, because nobody wants to acknowledge justice for all. Nobody wants to acknowledge justice for our people. So said all that to say it don't matter who's in the damn White House. The power lies within the people. If the people can't never get on the same page, we're going to keep on taking them for the rest of our life. I mean, far as democracy and diplomacy and all that. Moreover, especially if you factor in the electoral voting college, it's all pre-packaged. It's all preconceived notions. It don't matter who, Republic, Democrat, whoever gets into the White House. Whatever the Senate and the Congress, whatever Capitol Hill rolls out, those are the plans in place for that year, or for that term, rather, that the president's in there. It don't matter who's in there. Now, people love to hate Donald Trump because of his reckless mouth and the dumb stuff he says, the insensitive things he says. But one thing we can't say about him, no matter how angry we get, we can't say he's the worst president of the United States of America. We can't say that. We can't say he was worse than Bush 1 and Bush 2. We can't say he was worse than Eisenhower and Nixon. We can't say he was worse than Ronald Wilson Reagan. We can't say he was worse than Carter. We can't say he was worse than Gerald Ford. We can't say he was worse than our brother that we voted for, Barack Hussein Obama, that was about to use some of them powers that I just talked about that the president can do. He was about to sign into law a no-knock order. He was about to sign that into law. He was about to sign into law to stop and frisk. He was about to sign into law a mass incarceration crime bill for our people. So basically all I'm saying, said all that to say, when it comes to this, political stuff, we need to get out of our feelings and put our game face on and look at, if you really believe in the voting process, look at who looks good on paper, what's in it for you. Who looks good on paper and what's in it for you? Because, they both suck. They're both liars. They're politicians, so they both liars. It's just like, which liar are you going to vote for? Which is the lesser of the two liars? But as far as Waka Flocka getting a flack for predicting Donald Trump is going to win, I think that's an ill-gotten, I think his backlash is, unprecedented. He shouldn't be getting backlash for that. Because, how are you going to ridicule somebody that has provided options for our people? Waka did a complete 180 with his life. He started programs. He's started all kinds of initiatives. He's heavy into agriculture now. So he's trying to get that initiative going, for our people to grow our own food. So, like I said, for the stuff he did wrong, the stuff he said wrong, of course, I'm on the same page as everybody else for the things he did and said wrong during his term, like saying all that dumb ish, just gargle with bleach and grab them bite of a JJ. And then far as looking up to celebrities to make your mind about who you should vote for, them people is already wealthy. They're going to go with the bag. Whatever, political affiliation is sliding in the bag, that's who they're going to, endorse on their timelines. Period. Democrat or Republican or independent or grassroots or whatever. Who's ever sliding them the bag, that's who they're going to root for. Period. So stop looking for celebrities to, model your lives after and, think they got it all figured out. This is your livelihood. That's your vote. Do the knowledge. Quit being lazy. Research the candidates. Research the policies. Research the whole voting process before you make your decision. And if there ain't nobody that can support the types of changes you want to see in this country, there are other ways that you can bring about change within your community without, relying on a politician. So that's just one thing I want to say, we need to get off that bullish as far as trying to cancel people over their political affiliations. All the things we have to worry about as a people, that shouldn't even be in our top tier things to worry about. And speaking of worry about, on to my last topic for this evening. Or second to last, I want to clear up something or touch on a few points that I didn't touch on for my last speaking point from my full broadcast before I get out of here. I had it in my notes and I just didn't touch on it. So I'm going to glaze over that and then walk all the way away from that subject. But so last subject, second to the last subject for this evening before bringing this thing to a close is, of course, what's going on with our sister, Mrs. Jada Pinkett Smith. First of all, I'm going to say this right off the rip. I, Halsey Allen, of the Narrator podcast, do not give a flying about what a famous person's doing. I don't care about gossip. I don't care. And I feel like none of us should care. Whether it's true, whether it's not true. Because guess what? You got the choice to not be affected, to be indifferent. And I am indifferent. Hey. Oh man, this is going to be broken up into sections because it clicked off twice. So I'm going to have like 2 parts to this, guys. This is like my signal dropped. I hope it was only twice. I've seen it once and then I've seen it again. So hopefully it only happened twice. But anyway, I don't care. I mean, I care about her as a sister, but like all this controversy and hoopla that everybody's hooping and hollering about on their platforms. Oh, she said Pac had alopecia. She said she was selling crack. And like, who cares, bro? Why do you care? Why do y'all care? So I got to answer a question with a question. Why do we as a people care? Miss Pinkett Smith is an entertainer. She's been entertaining since she was like a preteen. She's now in her 50s. And she's still entertaining. Because isn't everything surrounding her book coming out entertaining? Positive or negative? Like she's doing what she's supposed to do. She's an entertainer. So I'm not going to get into the complexities of her marriage, moral dilemmas, none of that. Like, she's an entertainer. She's playing her position. She's controlling her platform. She's released the book to like, hey, if we're going to talk about it, at least I'm going to get paid off it. Since everybody wants to have their little 2 cents, I'm at least control the narrative and I'm going to get paid off it. Because like I said, you know, I don't care. I'm indifferent one way or the other. I'm infuriated that it's life. Damn, it did it again. So now I'm about to have probably like 3 sections of this. 4. And counting. What the hell is happening with my signal, y'all? It keeps cutting out. Wow, when I share it back online, it's going to have like 3 types of sections. Let me hurry up and wrap this up. So basically what I was saying is like, her business is her business. That's what I'm saying. And we shouldn't be worried about her business one way or the other. Like if you're into gossip, you like, you know, one of them people, inquiring minds want to know, and you just want to know who she's sleeping with, what she's doing within the confines of her marriage, what she did before she became who she was, then, you know, teach your own. Have at it. But don't use your platform to condemn the sister for living her life and remembering accounts in her life the way she remembers it. So she's telling her truth from her perspective. And if you don't like her perspective, then don't buy into her perspective. Ignore it. Go on about your business. Why are you sitting up there doing all these blogs, vlogs, and exposés and, you know, dragging her through the mud and calling her trifling and this and that and this? Like, just don't worry about it. Be unfazed. Don't care. Because she all right. She financially, she ain't ever got to work for the rest of her life if she don't want to. Will's financially straight. The Smith children, they financially straight. Straight? Can you say you're financially straight? Why are you sitting up there worried about wealthy people? Whatever they got going on in their life, they're cool. They got it. It's under control. It's under wraps. All the things going on in our community, And what we need to be worried about as a people, we're scheduling the time to take offense to someone who has ascended and obtained a level that all of us are dreaming about getting to. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So at the end of the day, Will loves her. And the day when it's not working no more, then he'll leave. He's a big boy. He don't need you to worry about his mental health and use your platform to speak up for him, and you need to get away from her and all this and that. When the time's right, he will leave. But I just don't believe people should be vilifying her. As the old saying goes, until you walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, you don't know anything. So you don't know what she did before she became a celebrity. You don't know what her and Tupac talked about within whatever ship they was in, whether it was a friendship, whether it was a more than just friendship, whatever they did within the confines of them knowing each other, that's only for her to know, for only her and Pac to know. And Pac got different accounts for different people. Everybody remembers Pac that knew him. You know, they remember the Pac that they knew as he came to them as. So you can't get mad at her because of remembering Pac the way she remembers Pac. That's her friend. She remembers her. Whatever happened in their friendship. You know what I mean? I believe her. I wasn't there. You wasn't there. How do you know what they talked about? All right, because my signal keeps breaking up, and I'm gonna have to it's gonna be like 4 parts when I share it back online. Because I'm broadcasting live, but the signal done dropped like 3 or 4 times. So I'm at like 3 or 4 different sections of this. So I'm finna wrap this up. I just wanted to touch over another part. Just something that I forgot. I had put in my bulleted notes about last week for my speaking point. About the culture vulture, Mr. Vlad of Vlad TV. Just some things I didn't make it to. I just want to point out that he has repeatedly disrespected people, leaders within our community. He's repeatedly disrespected the Honorable Minister. He's repeatedly disrespected the Honorable Minister's predecessor and mentor, Elijah Muhammad. He's repeatedly disrespected Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, disrespected Dr. Sabi, like habitually. He's had like over 3 or 4 guests that had to check him over Dr. Sabi. And each time he's gone viral because of it and gave them nothing. So that's a point that I didn't make it to. This dude is a habitually disrespects our icons and our leaders. Just because it's your platform don't mean you can say anything you want to when it comes to our people. Most recently, Ari Spears just had checked the mess out of him. And like I said, I'm not subscribed to his channel. I don't follow him on social media. What happens is like people, you know how people, something that you following recycles a clip. And so that's my only way I know what he's doing on this platform is it comes through my feed, somebody else recycles the clip. So, you know, he lost me when he started disrespecting Jeffrey Owens, saying, you know, he's a loser. He said he was a failure because he was working at Trader Joe's. Like, Jeffrey Owens was a side character, bruh. He was not designed to be a mainstay on the Cosby Show. You know what a monumental feat that is for a side character to get top billing with the rest of the cast? Like, if you was alive in that era, you was looking forward to the scenes with Jeffrey Owens just as much as you was looking forward to the scenes of, you know, the Cosby children, like, you know, his biological children in that TV show. So he was looking forward to, you know, the clueless Elvin lines. And we saw character development in that show. You know, he went from like not knowing what he wanted to do in life to being a doctor. But like I said, it's hurtful. It was like, you know, I'm not trying to pin every single thing that happens within our culture to him. I'm not trying to tell the celebrities who are now mainstays and regulars to not go up there and get that bag if he is in fact now paying his guests, because he wasn't paying his guests nothing. He was getting all that viral money but not giving his guests nothing. So now if he's paying guests, I'm not saying don't go up there and get that bag. I'm saying be like, as a people, we need to come together to check him and people like him when they violate. Because I'm definitely not saying don't boycott, because that ain't going to do nothing anyway. His numbers is too big for us to like do the just like, oh, unsubscribe. Like, you know, we can't even stay on code for little things, so that won't work anyway. But that's all I want to touch on for that. Just some points that I had in my notes that I forgot to address. But I think I nailed all my speaking points. This episode of the Narrator Podcast is officially a wrap. Thank you for tuning in this evening and listening. And I will be and I know you're going to join me this weekend for another full edition of the Narrator Podcast. Just remember to download this episode and our previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast wherever you get your podcast episodes from. So, like I said, I broadcast regularly every single weekend. A full episode of the Narrator Podcast. But what you want to do is tune in and check me out during the weekday, because I'll never know what days that I'm going to broadcast during the weekday. But you can check me out at by following me on YouTube and Twitter, or X as it's called now, because this podcast platform that I'm on, it broadcasts directly to my YouTube and directly to my Twitter. So follow me on YouTube and Twitter. You will never miss me when I'm live. My YouTube is Halsey Allen, and hit that subscription button and the notification bell. You will never miss a live episode of the Narrator Podcast. Or follow me on Twitter. I don't think they have a subscription thing on Twitter. I'm not too active on that. But you will never miss me. I believe you will get your alerts if you follow me on Twitter as well. But yeah, that's, you know, how to stay locked in for live episodes of the Narrator Podcast. What else I got going on? Oh yeah. So check me out, pick me out. I've written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. Currently, it's only available on one medium, and that's poetizer.com. Poetizer.com has a virtual bookstore. So go online to poetizer.com and go to their virtual bookstore and purchase my book, The Black Card, at www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And then, go pick that up today. The Black Card is basically a comprehensive, in-depth look at our people and our culture as a whole, everything we experience, both positive and negative. So basically, it's like a survival card, a survival guide for being an original person. So you want to go to the virtual bookstore on poetizer.com and cop your copy of the Black Card today, or get your Black Card revoked. And then also I have a personal poetry blog titled hallziespoetrycorner on blogger.com. The address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And the way you support it is sharing the link or poems featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner on all platforms. So share the link or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner on all platforms, whatever you're active on. Whether it's, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever. Now, for the visual ones like YouTube and TikTok and all that, you might have to give a brother a shout out, because I don't think or unless you got that AI where you can upload and you can see it visually, the link. But you might have to just, give a brother a shout out for the link or a poem that you like featured on the blog. But whatever you do, just support my poetry blog, Hallzies Poetry Corner, at www.mrhallziesblog.com on poetizer.com or www.mrhallziesblogs.com on blogger.com. And my tagline for that is Hallzies Poetry Corner, poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. And when you read one, you will find out why. That's it, and that's all. Thank you guys for listening this evening to this episode of the Narrator Podcast. I apologize in advance because my internet signal dropped a couple times. So when I reshare it back on social media, it's going to be broken up into sections, but it's all one episode. This is, I believe, 270. I think it's episode 278. I try to make a note of it when I share it back online, but it's like just one episode, but it's like broke up into like 3 or 4 different sections, how many ever times the signal dropped as I was broadcasting. But but this episode definitely is done. I'm done for this live episode this evening. Tune in this weekend for a full broadcast of the Narrator Podcast. I'm Halsey Allen, and I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm inviting you to become a narrator to help me change the narrative one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrator Podcast signing off, and it's like that.
I'ma make it burn.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.